Hello students, this video is for class 7 subject science and chapter number 17, water, a life-giving liquid. So under this chapter, first heading that we have is water, a renewable resource. So first of all, we have to understand the meaning of renewable. So there are multiple resources that the mother nature has given us, and out of those water is one. And the basic meaning of renewable is something like which can be renewed, or means you can say something which is available in plenty. Like if some resource, for example, we cannot say that coal or petroleum are they are non-renewable resources because we have them in limited quantity, right? But something like water, which is available in abundance, which can be used, which has having a vast presence, which is having its vast presence on the surface of Earth. So we say water is a renewable resource, right? And apart from being a natural resource, it has been acting as a habitat, and habitat we all know it's a place where an organism can live and survive, right? So water is also acting as a habitat for the aquatic life, whether they might be a plant or animals, right? So what are the general uses of water? Like basically we know, like as far as agriculture purpose is concerned, we use it for irrigation. It is being used in various industries for, like you can say, manufacturing industries for making chemicals and medicines. And then we have hydroelectric power plants where it is being used for generating electricity. And then there are some fun related activities like swimming, surfing, water skiing, etc. Then there are certain disease like certain medical instruments where you can say water is being used. And apart from that, there are basic domestic use like drinking, cooking, washing, cleaning, and gardening. Then what are the basic forms of water that we all have been studying? That water exists in three states. That is, it might be in the form of a solid, liquid, or a gas, right? So and all of them are interchangeable. That is, they can convert the state from one to another, right? So as far as ice is concerned, it is a solid form of water. It is present in the polar regions, and we have seen also in the glaciers, right? So now comes the concept of melting point and the freezing point of water, and also the boiling point. So as far as the melting point is concerned, so imagine ice which is having a temperature which below 0 degrees Celsius, and once we start heating, so the moment it reaches 0 degrees Celsius, we say that water will start melting, and we say that 0 degree is nothing but the melting point. And apart, if we go in a reverse process, that we is like we have a normal water and we keep start decreasing the temperature, right? So the moment the water level reaches to 0 degrees Celsius, like for example, it was at the temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, and we started reducing the temperature, right? It will go down like 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it will reach 0. So if you are decreasing the temperature at 0 degrees Celsius, it will start freezing. So in that context, we say that 0 is also the freezing point of water, right? Then comes the concept of evaporation. Evaporation is nothing, and we have a general perception that evaporation occurs only at a temperature of 100 degrees Celsius. So we have to clear ourselves that basically the boiling of water starts, and we can see as far as evaporation is concerned, right? It occurs at all the temperatures, but as far as the temperature of with respect to 100 degrees Celsius is considered, we can say evaporation fastens on increasing the temperature and is maximum at 100 degrees Celsius, right? Now the distribution of Earth's water, right? So we have seen like 70% of Earth is covered with water, and but the problem being the most of the water that we is present on the surface of Earth is in saline condition. That is, it is present in the seas and oceans, and it is having salt and is having dissolved salt in them, right? So because of the presence of salt, we are calling it as saline. And then the fresh water, as far as it is concerned, right, basically is only the 3% which is available in the form of surface water, might be in the form of rivers or lakes, or you can say or it might be there in the frozen form like polar ice caps or glaciers, right? So out of that, only as far as the surface water is concerned, right? So only 2% or 3% is available in the form of rivers, and some 11% in swamps, and the 87% is present in the lakes only. So right, so what the context that we should understand, or the general conclusion we can draw from this topic, even though it is being present in the abundance quantity, we don't have it in, we cannot use all of it. So even though we say it is a renewable resource, but it doesn't, it is actually isn't a renewable resource, right? Because the water which is present in maximum quantity is unfit for the human consumption. Now comes the topic of water cycles. Water cycle we all have studied in the primary standard. Basically, like first of all, the water will start evaporating, then Then evaporation is basically nothing but the conversion of water from liquid to your gaseous state. And once the water vapor reaches at a higher altitude, then the condensation, or you can say the condensation, yeah, there is the condensation process from water vapor to again water droplets will be formed. And once the clouds, that is basically the formation of clouds, and once the weight of clouds exceeds, then cause of gravity, the water falls down, right? And the falling of water, which might be in the form of rain, or you can say snowfall, or in the form of frost, right, hailstones, you can say, is called as precipitation. And this entire cycle keeps on repeating. It is also called as water cycle or your hydrological cycle. Now comes the topic of surface sources of water. So as far as the sources of water concerned are basically rainwater, surface water, and underground water. So first of all, we'll start with the rainwater. It is again one of the purest form of water, but the problem is like we cannot use it directly, because once the rainfall occurs, so the rainwaters, when coming down, they combine with some other gases and pollutants and becomes unfit, right? Surface water, as far as it is concerned, you can understand the water which is present on the surface of earth, like it might be in the oceans, lakes, rivers, and wetlands, etc., right? And it is the water which is present in the maximum quantity, and the majority of the water that we have in the form of surface water is saline cause of the presence of salt in them, right? And generally, if you have to understand, like the, for example, Indian rivers, you have to understand the sources of rivers are either the rainfall, or you can say the melting of glaciers actually. And when flowing, actually they carry a lot of minerals, and they deposit those minerals into the oceans, right? Yeah, one more point is there, that the saline water can be used by humans by making it by doing the process of desalination, right? That is nothing but the removal of salt, so that is again actually fit for the human consumption. Now comes the topic of groundwater. Groundwater is nothing but the underground water. Like you all would be having boring water, submersible, or motor in your house, right? So that concept is related to that only, where actually we are digging the water which is present below the layers of earth, right? And there is a definition that is called as hydrology. The study of underground water is called as hydrology. So what actually happens, like when water is poured, like the precipitation occurs, so water peeps down through the multiple layers of soil horizons through the process of infiltration, and it gets settled down, like there will be multiple layers, right? So as far as sea horizon, or you can say bedrock is concerned, it will be stored on the top of it, because those layers are actually impervious to the water, right? And the top level of water that is stored in underground is called as water table. Now the one more concept that comes is artesian wall, or you can say artesian wall is nothing like when the level of in a particular area is having water table at a lower place, at a low, you can say at a higher place, or at a lower place as compared to the region, surrounding regions. That times what happens, like once you dig a hole till the water table, then the springs are being generated. Examples are there in your Himachal Pradesh, right? Now comes the topic of hot water and soft water. So what basically they are trying to say is like a water actually, if it is having too much of minerals, it doesn't lather actually. So that type of water is called as hard water, right? That is just we use the word jhag, right? That is that only. And when once the water is not having sufficient quantity of minerals in them, then that water is called as soft water. So basically, as far as the minerals are concerned, we can say there are nothing but the salts of magnesium or calcium which are present, right? So basically, hard water is not good for you can say human use, or it is unfit for the washing purpose. So as far as the hardness is concerned, it can be of two types. Either it can be temporary, or it can be a permanent. So temporary one are the ones which are caused by the carbonates of calcium and magnesium, and they can be merely removed by just boiling the water. And as far as the permanent hardness is concerned, it is a complex process, and they are caused by nothing but the, you can say, the salts, or that is chlorides and sulfates of calcium and magnesium, basically, right? So it's not only the boiling, but basically you have to use sodium carbonate, and you have to treat with them, and an insoluble precipitate is formed, which is again filtered by using several sieving methods. Right, next comes the topic of scarcity of water. So basically, cause of the continuous abundant increase in the population, so the groundwater water level that we have is basically limited. So it has been reducing, and in certain parts of South Africa, you can say like Cape Town, cause of the increasing population and some unsustainable use, the level of water which is present has reduced drastically, right? And there are certain reasons, or you can say major factors, which play an important role for the scarcity of water. First, we have discussed is the population growth. Like there's a continuous increase in the population, and that's why the demand of water has been increasing, right? And being the water present in the fixed quantity, we can say, yeah, that there's a continuous decrement in the level of water which is available to the people for their normal use, right? Then the other problem is being the wastage, like the you can say unauthorized, or I won't use the word unauthorized, but improper way of utilizing the water, right? Then over exploitation of the groundwater, it's like the problem with the groundwater is like it cannot be replenished, right? So once being used, it takes quite a lot of time for them to get replenished to up to a proper level, right? And the concept is the balance between the underground water and the demand is distorted because of the you can say the demand is very high as compared to the availability. Then industrialization and urbanization indirectly plays an important role, and global warming something which is responsible for increasing the temperature of earth, and thereby reducing the amount of rainfall. Then finally, deforestation, because forest helps in retaining the water through the soils, or thereby increasing the groundwater level. So since they are being cut in a large quantity, you can say the water that was stored in the form of underground is reducing day by day. Then for water conservation, there have been certain techniques, and certain rules are there, general rules that we all have to follow. For example, if a leaking tap is there in your house, so you should repair it immediately. Dams or reservoirs should be constructed for the further use of the people, right? And farmers should use some efficient methods, you can say, like drip irrigation is there for a proper use of water, right? And then we have like if you're being traded in being the water is being used in certain industries, and the wastewater is being dropped, it shouldn't be let like that only. We should be treated chemically properly, so that we can reduce the amount of chemicals or harmful toxic. Then only it should be released into the water bodies, right? And like in the southern part of our country, rainwater harvesting concept is there, that basically says like the on the top of your terrace, whatever the water is falling in the month of during the rainy season, basically we should have a certain method for collecting it in underground, and we can use it for several purposes like gardening, for washing and cleaning our clothes. So that's it from this chapter, guys. Thank you.